All right. Hey guys, this is Dr. Ryan Sousley here, and today I'm here with Cece McClintick. Welcome, Cece.
Thank you.
So I'm really excited to have Cece on with me today. Cece works in our clinic as a nutritionist. She is a certified nutrition therapy practitioner. And essentially, if you just were to boil that down, what does that mean? Why is that different than your average nutritionist or your dietitian? Really, in my mind, it's functional nutrition. Just like what we practice in our office as far as chiropractic goes, is it's functional chiropractic, meaning we're looking for the root cause of issues, and then we're trying to restore function by filling in the gaps with whatever it is that we're focused on, whether it's chiropractic or nutrition. So today, we're going to talk about advanced nutrition testing, and I'm really excited to talk about this because, when my wife and I started the clinic 8.5 years ago, we've been with Max Living the whole time, and Max Living, as you know, is a 5 Essentials health delivery system, owned and operated mostly by chiropractors around the country. But one of our essentials is nutrition, and the truth of it is, as amazing as chiropractic is, having a well-aligned spine or a well-adjusted spine and having, as little nerve interference as possible in your spine and nervous system, that is a foundation. It's in my argument or my opinion, it's the foundation to optimal health, because at the end of the day, it's your nervous system that runs and controls everything. It's your nervous system. It's your brain that tells your stomach how to digest food, and for your liver to process fats and produce cholesterol and all the above, detoxification. However, if you have a great spine and you have, you go get adjusted all the time, you're chiropractic fanatic, but then you leave your adjustment and you go eat McDonald's, or more likely you're unintentionally creating toxicities or deficiencies because of the food that you're eating or not eating, you're still never going to have optimal health. So that's why, I've always said that health is not a la carte. It's not, you just pick and choose the things that you like or the things that are convenient or that you're, good at. Health is all of the above. You've got to do all 5 essentials, all 5 principles. So what I'm really excited about is we've been working really closely with Cece over the last couple of years in developing, the nutrition arm or leg, if you will, of the 5 Essentials clinic that we have here in Coeur d'Alene. And it's been really neat because not only have we been able to roll that out and start serving our patients here locally, but because of the format and the way that we're doing it, we actually have the ability to work with patients all around the world. I know, Cece, you have patients that you've started working with in other parts of the country, which is really, really neat. So, yep. Cece, maybe you can give us just a quick background on your history and maybe kind of why you chose to go into nutrition, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what advanced nutrition testing is and how we're using it in the clinic.
Absolutely. So I am like the perfect example of someone who didn't pay attention to their nutrition, didn't really look to food as anything but a way to satisfy cravings and give me some quick energy and something that tasted good. And so not to say that I had terrible parents who didn't feed me well or a balanced diet, that's not it at all. But as I became, a young adult and just really got heavily into my career and life, and my health just kind of took a back seat, and I did everything the wrong way for so many years, and it ended up catching up to me in a big way. And so I ended up finally giving myself that space to start working on my own health. And it truly started with teeny tiny little steps that are so basic that most people like kind of just were like, laugh at. But I mean, it truly started with getting rid of Coca-Cola and switching to water, and adding a nutrient-dense smoothie into my morning every single day. And these little steps ended up turning into huge things for myself and my family. And I went from corporate visual merchandising to nutrition at the age of 40. So I did a whole career flip because I became so passionate about it. I saw the results in my own body when I started to pay attention and made changes. And I wanted to be able to do that for other women as well. So that is a quick little nutshell of how I got into nutrition.
Well, I think what you said there is huge, and I think it's worth repeating just for a moment, that a lot of people think that in order to change your nutrition, or make really substantial changes with their diet, they've got to overhaul everything. They got to go empty out the pantry, empty out the freezer. They got to go to Whole Foods or Pilgrim's Market or Natural Grocers, and they got to spend an arm and a leg and change everything. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why people fail. Would you agree?
I agree 100%.
They try to change too much, too fast. I mean, you've seen it with patients of ours that you've worked with. Something as simple as just hydration. I mean, you'd be amazed the number of people, the percentage of people, especially in America, who are they're dehydrated.
100%.
And just simply adding more water into your system, gives you energy. It helps with detoxification. It satiates hunger. I mean, there's so many different health benefits, and it's free, it's simple, and it's something that you just have to make a priority,
Yeah.
And I think again, that's why I love what you do. Is it's not really complicated. Now, obviously it can get complex, and that we're going to dive into the science and how to really, really, dial in your nutrition and make it customized to you, because ultimately we are all different. We all do have different genetic backgrounds. We have, different biochemistry. We have different body types and metabolisms and hormone balance and everything else. So there is, a lot of value in getting really dialed in. However, where you start doesn't have to be that in depth or advanced,
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about what the advanced nutrition testing is, because I know that part of what you do in the clinic for patients of ours is you help them start to make these simple changes, like hydration, or like getting rid of Coca-Cola, or trying to cut the carbs. And that's a lot of times where people will start.
Mm-hmm.
And if people want to learn more about those steps, I think coming to our upcoming Mountain class. So Mountain stands for Metabolism, Toxicity, and Nutrition. And it's a class that we do, every 2 to 3 months in the office to give people a good baseline for those topics and simple action steps that they can start applying right away. But beyond that, we've also started doing some advanced nutrition testing. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I think I have to start by saying that I am not treating or diagnosing anyone with disease. We're simply just looking for disruptions or imbalances or deficiencies that are occurring in different pathways and processes in the body, and supporting them with key nutrients, supporting them with diet. What you're eating is so incredibly important. How you're eating is incredibly important, when you're eating, and some different lifestyle strategies, and of course supplementation where there's deficiencies. So I have so many patients that, everybody pretty much has the same goals right now in health issues. They are tired. They feel like their metabolism is totally slowed down. They can't lose weight. They feel like they have brain fog. Some people just have total digestive issues, or feel like they're always good, or have gas. Same. And there, I'm back. So what I'm able to do is identify what, and testing, I always go back to test, don't guess. You can easily get on the internet and Google any type of health issue that you're currently dealing with, and you're going to find all kinds of different information. So you might hear like, oh, I got to start taking vitamin C, or I need to get in my good fats, or this and that, and you just start reaching for different solutions that don't necessarily address the problem. And then going back to you being a completely unique individual, you have to look at all these different lenses to identify what is the right thing for you and what you have going on inside your body. So I always like to say test, don't guess. And your body gives you, like when you're testing, your body is just kind of like your car. When you're, and the engine light comes on, or the oil light, you get all these flashing lights in your car that are identifying they're like potential warning signs of future issues, right? Well, that's kind of the same thing that we're experiencing with our bodies, and we can test that. So we have different testing options that we like to do just depending on the person and what they have going on. We've got hair tissue mineral analysis testing, which is phenomenal, looking at your minerals, looking for any imbalances or deficiencies, looking at how minerals relate to specific functions and areas of health in the body, helping to identify if you have any heavy metals. We know heavy metals play a huge role in your health. We also have the organic acids testing, which is...
So before
Yep,
you start talking about the organics testing, can you give an example of like a finding that would be like common or something that you've experienced, like a finding with the HTMA test, and then what that represented or how that manifested as far as what the patient experienced?
Yep. So what I love about the hair tissue mineral analysis testing is it's looking at specific minerals, like I said, and their relationship to one another. And you can identify lots when it comes to your metabolic rate and how your body is currently utilizing food for energy. It's looking at things like your thyroid ratio, your adrenal ratio. It's looking at blood sugar imbalances, just based on minerals, because minerals are so incredibly important. Let's talk about the thyroid for a moment. I obviously, again, I can't say you have hyper or hypothyroidism, but what I can tell you is that your relationship of calcium to potassium could be off, because calcium helps to get the thyroid hormone into the cells and potassium helps your body to utilize it. So there's so many different things that we can glean from this. And I do have a patient that I worked with. Her thyroid ratio was off the charts. It should be at a 4, and hers was at I think it was 147. And I was able to identify where she had very specific mineral imbalances, do a little bit of work with detoxification because she had some heavy metals that we had to address, and really help identify her oxidation rate or her metabolic rate. And that ratio went from 147 or 6 to, I think it was a 38. So not to a 4, but so much better in just a 3-month time frame, because we knew exactly
4 or
what
5
to
times
do.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because we knew we had, and I was able to formulate a plan.
And what I love about this type of testing, and this would all be kind of categorized under the umbrella of functional medicine. If people are watching or listening to this that are familiar with that term or have heard that term, this would be considered the practice of functional medicine. And that's why my wife, Dr. Erin, and I got credentialed as certified functional practitioners a couple of years ago, and then bringing you on board as a functional nutritionist, it's a perfect marriage of what I think real healthcare should be. And that's what I was getting at, is that, this test that we're talking about right now, the HTMA, and all the tests that we're going to talk about today, they're so accessible. We can actually order these tests. We can drop ship them to anywhere you want. So, I mean, that's why this is beautiful right now, because, there's so many people that are shut in place, or they're on lockdown still. So we're helping people who can't physically come into the clinic, whether they're local or they live in another state. We can drop ship these test kits. They're fairly non-invasive. I mean, the most invasive one we have is a urine test, where you pee in a vial and you freeze it and you send it through FedEx. I mean, it is what it is. But the one we're talking about right now is just hair tissue. So you cut some hair, you put it in an envelope, you send it to the lab, and then a week or two later, we get sent the results. And it's fairly inexpensive. I mean, I think the HTMA test is under $200, right?
Yep.
And the organics test that we're going to talk about next is under $500. And initially, you might think, oh, wow, I go to the medical doctor and I pay a $50 copay or a $45 copay, and then my insurance covers all the medical tests. Well, the problem is, like the patient that you're talking about, I know who that is specifically. They went the medical route for years and years and years, and they used all their insurance benefits that paid for all these tests that only told her that she had a thyroid issue, but it didn't say why. And the result or the solution, in that industry or what she experienced was medication. All we can tell you is that your blood work's off, your thyroid's not working right. Here's some medication. Why is my thyroid not working? I don't know. No clue. But here's the standard of care. The standard of care is to take this medication. How long do I take it for? Well, forever.
Exactly.
You mean I can never get off of it? Why can't I ever get off of it? Well, because medications don't actually heal your body. Medications are just a Band-Aid. And that's why I love the type of testing that you're talking about, is because it's taking a deep dive into someone's physiology and biochemistry and figuring out, what are the missing links here? What am I missing with my diet or my lifestyle or toxicity or, whatever the case is? And then let's fix it at the root, and then let's manifest optimal health from the inside out.
Yep. I
So,
always like to remind people too that, we know from research, this isn't something that we just make up in the office, that 90 to 95% of chronic diseases are influenced by lifestyle and our environment. And so that's incredibly powerful, just to remember that your genes are not your destiny. You have complete control over how your body is going to function and what your health is going to be like.
Yeah, I always tell
pretty
people
much to the fullest extent, I mean, not 100%, but 90 to 95%. I mean, come on, that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I always tell people, there's good news and bad news with your genes. The good news is, that your genes aren't your destiny, which means you can do something about it. The bad news is you have to do something about it.
Exactly.
I think far too many times it's easier just to take a pill, just to have the surgery, just to throw your hands up and say, well, it is what it is. This is just how I am. This is how my parents were. This is how my brothers and sisters are. It runs in the family. So, whatever. I'm diabetic, or I'm overweight, or I have metabolism issues, or I have heart disease, or high cholesterol, or whatever it is. It is what it is. I'm just going to take the medication and see how long I last. And to me, that's really sad. It's your choice. It's one way to do it, but it doesn't have to be that way. So if you desire something different, what's cool is we're learning now that it's almost all up to you. It's in your hands. Mm-hmm. So Cece, can you talk a little bit about the organics testing? Because I think in my opinion, or at least from my experience, it's probably the most robust and in-depth test. Like, people always ask me, like, well, if I'm just going to do one test that's going to give me the most amount of information, because I do believe that there's value in testing different things. There's value in testing your fatty acid profile. There's value in testing for mineral deficiencies or heavy metal toxicities. I personally think that the organics test is probably the most robust if you could only choose one. Do you want to talk about that one for a little bit?
I do. Yes. And a lot of doctors don't want to offer this test because it's so complex. And it's not as simple as identifying one or two vitamins that you need to take to fix it. You have to really look at it from a holistic and kind of step back and look at it from the lens of your body as systems and not individual pieces and parts. So it's organic acid tests. What we're doing is we're identifying where there's any type of a blockage in specific pathways inside your body, because what happens when there is a blockage is that the organic acids, they dump into your urine. So it is a urine test. It's super easy to do. You literally just have to, you don't have to fast. You don't have to change your supplements or your food. You just stop drinking a bunch of water at the end of the night. You go to the bathroom before you go to bed, and then you just pee in a cup when you wake up and send it off to the lab. So we're looking at these biomarkers, these organic acids and their accumulation. If they're really high, then that's signaling that there's something that we need to address. So we're able to look at these different pathways. The biggest one is the energy production pathway. We are able to look at how the mitochondria inside your cells is producing energy. Are there any deficiencies, imbalances, anything that's going on that disrupts that pathway? And it starts all the way back to the foods that you're eating. So we're able to identify if you're having a hard time converting your fats into energy, your carbs into energy, your proteins into energy, all the way down to the production of the actual ATP inside your cells. We're able to look at your oxidation marker or oxidative stress damage and markers. There's two key markers for that. I don't know any other test that you can do this day and age, and that's so easily accessible to anyone to identify if you've got some imbalances or issues with oxidative stress, as well as detoxification pathways. So there are specific nutrients, specific processes that your body has to go through and needs just to detoxify all the amount of, all the toxins we have in our body on a daily basis. Most people have some imbalances there. We're also able to look at the gut. The gut is huge, especially when we're looking at inflammation or dealing with inflammation. So we're able to identify if there's any key markers that are showing any type of, dysbiosis, inflammation, any yeast, any other type of fungal, bacterial markers. So there's so much that you can glean and gather from this one test.
Yeah, I think the oxidative stress one is really interesting. And for those of people that are listening or watching that don't know, oxidative stress, the simple way to think about it is how fast your body's aging. So if you have more oxidative stress, think about it like, you always use this analogy, Cece, but if you throw a half an apple out into the yard or the woods, it turns brown. Or if you just leave it out on the counter, it's because the oxygen is oxidizing, the molecules of the apple. And it's a natural process, but the faster that happens, the faster the apple rots away. And your body is essentially the same thing. So oxygen itself is not a bad thing, but oxidation is not something to be desired at a rate, faster than what we're designed for. So, and again, it's just fascinating because I sit in on a lot of the reviews of these test results, because you're testing a lot of the patients that come into our clinic, and we collaborate, mastermind on how best to take care of people a lot of times. And I look at these test results, and it blows my mind every single time. And this is something that, me and my wife, Erin, we've been using the organic acid tests for a long time, probably 7 or 8 years now. Personally, we've done these tests on all of our kids. And it blows my mind that we can get so much information from a test that's so inexpensive and accessible. Whereas, you can spend significantly more money in the medical system and not really get any answers. I always liken it to I tore my Achilles tendon a couple of years ago, as many people know. And just for the MRI, just to confirm whether or not I tore the Achilles, which I already knew because all the tests, all the orthopedic tests and everything were positive, but I just wanted to see how far apart the tendon was, or the tear was. And it was, cash, it was $1,600. And if I would have used my insurance, it would have been $3,500. But we have Samaritan Ministries, which is a cost share program, but not to get into that, but it was, still $1,600 just to tell me something I already knew. And yet, the tests that we're talking about here today are a fraction of that. And they shed so much light on all these things that people typically have no clue about, but they're desperately wanting answers for, because what you said is so right on. I do progress evaluations with people every day. And I always ask, what's your biggest health challenge right now? If I could help you achieve anything with your health over the next 1 to 3 months, what would it be? And inevitably, energy or metabolism or weight loss is always in the top 3, like 100% of the time, even for people that are teenagers or in their 20s. And we have some, patients in that demographic too, but it's always in the running for, top health goal. And I think if people don't have this information, here's the thing. Again, people could come to the mountain class. They could Google keto diet. They could follow people on Instagram or, recipe blogs or whatever the case is. And most likely they could make some progress. If they have a massive amount of willpower and just dedication, you can make progress. So we're not saying that you have to have these special tests in order to have optima. What we're saying is that if you have an issue, like maybe you're the type of person that you've done the keto diet and you didn't do so well on it. Like maybe your neighbor did it and they lost 30 pounds and you felt like garbage the whole time and you couldn't lose any weight and you had no energy. Well, like you said, Cece, the test that we're talking about right now, the organic acid test, it's looking at the pathway that represents how well your body converts fat to energy. It's not to say whether or not fat is good for you. It's the test isn't to say, oh, you're a sugar burner or you're a fat burner. No, it's more about, is the pathway that helps your body use sugar for fuel, is that pathway broken? Is the pathway that your body uses to burn fat for fuel, is that pathway broken? Are your cells oxidating too quickly or oxidizing too quickly? Are you aging faster than you should? And that's why you're tired all the time. So I think, I think the value in having this information, really at the end of the day, what it does is it just accelerates people's progress, you know, and it eliminates all of the trial and error that I think frustrates so many people. Would you agree with that?
I agree 100%. And the other thing that I love is that you're doing it the healthy way. This is not like a drop 30 pounds really quickly, get all this energy back really quickly, and then in 6 months it all comes back and you feel like crap again. This is about sustainable, long-term, healthy results, and learning how to live a healthy life.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. I mean, our clinic has never been about a quick fix, whether it's through chiropractic or supplements or nutrition or detoxification. I mean, I'm not about being healthy for the next 6 months. That's not my MO. I want to be healthy for as long as possible. I mean, my personal vision is to live to 110. I want to outdo Jack LaLanne, which most people don't know. He was a chiropractor, by the way. Smart dude.
You told me that once, yeah.
For a lot of reasons, but that's my goal. You know, so I'm not into just being healthy for the summer so I can look good in a bathing suit. I want to be healthy so I can see my kids grow up and see their kids grow up and maybe even see their kids grow up. Because I think that's what we're created for. You know, studies show that we're supposed to live about 110 to 120 years with optimal health. And that's just not the reality in America. I mean, the average lifespan is 78 or 79 between males and females respectively. And that means a lot that most people are leaving a lot on the table in terms of their life experience. And so our mission is to enhance the life experience or the human experience, and make sure that people live to their fullest potential and live the life that they want to live. So Cece, I really appreciate you being on with me today. We're going to wrap this up. But if people want more information about advanced nutrition testing, obviously you can contact the clinic, Summit Family Chiropractic. You can contact either one of us on Facebook or Instagram. We're constantly posting valuable content on both of those platforms. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks again, Cece.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.